Hello, and welcome to the Butler Sports Live pregame show on the Big East Digital Network. I am Gino DeFrank, and alongside me is Nixon Blackman.
Today we will be taking a dive into what is going on around Butler right now and what will also be happening in the Butler sports world in the spring before our women's basketball team takes on Xavier.
Butler University Greek Life recently concluded their recruitment rush week over winter break, with over 500 students combined participating across both fraternity and sorority side. Despite having lower sign-up numbers than expected, Lambda Chi Alpha had a record year by adding 30 new members. Jonathan Dowding, the recruitment chair at Lambda, provided some insight behind the process.
On the fraternities end, our job, I know it sometimes gets underscored by the freshmen or sophomores rushing, but our job is to really be as prepared as possible. So as recruitment chair, those days, those weeks, that was like about 16, 17-hour days, just in order so that the chapter was best served, but also the members, and from that we were able to have one of our most successful years.
If you weren't able to participate in Rush Week but are still interested in Greek life, continuous open bidding is actively going on. Visit Butler IFC and Butler Panel on Instagram to learn more. The men's tennis season is in full swing here at Butler, with the team playing numerous colleges from across the country. The team's first home game was at the Indianapolis Racquet Club against Cleveland State on January 19th. It was highly competitive, and Raul Kanakanchi clinched a 4-3 victory. The next Friday, Butler played Southern Indiana on the road, earning a 6-1 victory. And on Sunday, they lost 2-5 when facing Dartmouth. The team will travel to Nebraska this weekend. Sophomore tennis player Nicholas Shirley was asked about the season.
The season's been going well so far. We're 2-1 on the year, 2 good wins, and a lot more tennis coming up. So looking forward to the rest of the year. We got a big match against Dartmouth tomorrow and looking to pick up a win. So, yeah, go Dogs.
If you are interested in going to a match, the Indianapolis Racquet Club is located on 8249 Dean Road.
Internships are a great way for students to get involved on campus and gain experience in their field of study.
The Butler Athletic Department is one place that offers a variety of internship opportunities for students. Positions in creative content, athletic communication, and game day operations are among those available for students to apply for. There is even an internship that runs jointly between Butler Sports Live and the athletic department. Sophomore sports media student Charlie Petrush is currently working his second internship and had lots of great experiences from his first one.
My favorite part was just being able to experience game day from a different perspective rather than being strictly a fan, trying to increase fan engagement throughout the game. Being on the court for all that different stuff was really fun.
Now on to a Butler football story. A recent sports media graduate has been thrust into the role of Director of Football Operations and has had his hands full on the search for a new coach. Entering the fall of 2025-2026, Butler football was reeling from the departure of longtime coach Mike Uremovich. The team recently hired former Ball State head coach Kevin Lynch. At the helm of the search was Ty Morgan. Ty graduated in the spring of 2023 with a double major in sports media and Stratcom, being one of the youngest directors of football operations in college football. Ty has experienced a whirlwind of emotions.
Background with his dad being a former coach at Butler, that part was easier, but then you have to go hire assistants, coordinators, and really get some of your players to buy in. We had a fair amount of players on the current roster going to the transfer portal and feel out that process, but ultimately we got a large majority of them back, ready to go. They've started training.
Butler athletic fans should be very excited about the work Ty Morgan and the football program are doing.
Track and field was back at the State Fairgrounds this weekend, where the Bulldogs continued to fire on all cylinders. The fairgrounds have seen many Butler athletes dominate in their respective events, and this weekend at the Midwest Classic was nothing short of pure dominance. Butler freshman Hannah Moore finished fourth in the 5,000-meter dash with a mark of just under 17 minutes. This time by Hannah is the fastest by a freshman in the Big East this season. Multi-event athlete Lily Wharton had herself an impressive weekend as well, running a sub-9.3 finish in the 60-meter hurdles. Lily sat down with us to explain how training at one of the best indoor facilities in the country has translated over to her success on the track.
Training at the Indianapolis Fairgrounds is really convenient for me and all of the athletes on our team. For me personally, I compete in multiple field events, including long jump, high jump, hurdles, and shot put. So having all of those practice areas right in one facility makes it easy for me to go to practice and get everything that I need to do done.
Butler Club Baseball will be starting their first season this spring. Here's club president and founder Dylan Kale with his expectations for the season and why he decided to found the club.
All right, so Club Baseball was founded my freshman year. I founded it because it was the first spring I'd ever played without baseball since I was about 3 years old. So I figured, there's an empty spot in my season and a lot of other people's season that never got the opportunity to play at the next level. And not only that, they chose Butler because it was their dream school and did not have the opportunity or didn't want to play baseball because of that. So I felt as though that there was going to be wide interest. And at my first call-out meeting and first, greet me message chat, we had over 50 guys in it. Now we're at about 30 guys for our club season that's going to start here in a few months or in a few weeks, I should say. And I'm looking forward to it. We're in the Division II of the National Club Baseball Association. I'm looking forward to see what the future is of Butler Club Baseball.
Within some women's college basketball teams, there is a second team that exists in the shadows that sometimes does not get the credit that they deserve. Meeting inside Hinkle Fieldhouse, the Butler women's basketball scout team joins the team during practices. They do not play during the games nor sit on the bench, but their job is still important. The whole point of the scout team is to simulate the opponent's offense before their next games and to help simulate game time decisions. Most of the Butler scout team members played basketball in high school. Luke Clark, a sophomore Butler student from Omaha, Nebraska, played basketball throughout high school and is on the scout team, which allows him to continue to play the sport that he loves. Clark talks about dealing with being on the team as well as managing his academic workload.
It definitely helps that being a scout team is really flexible, because if there are some practices where I'm not able to go to because I need to focus more on academics because I have a lot of stuff going on, they will allow me to do that. So basically just them being very open about that and not very strict on that, and they recognize that we're students too.
Another pivotal part of the scout team is the person who holds this all together, Madison Wise. Madison is the team's coordinator of recruiting and creative content, as well as the scout team manager. Madison talks about how the scout team helps out the women's team.
Scout team is so beneficial. Even our coaching staff talks about it. So over Christmas break, all of the students in our scout team, they were all at home, and it just makes all the difference, when they're not there. So scout team gets to come in, they run other teams' offense, they run the other team's defense, so they really prepare us for big games and every game for that matter. So they're super helpful. They're a great group. We enjoy having them. They're good people, so it's fun to have them around, and they really prepare our team.
Butler students interested in joining the scout team can keep an eye out on the Butler women's basketball Instagram this fall to look for tryout dates.
While fans come to basketball games to see the Bulldogs play, the experience would not be complete without the addition of the Butler athletic bands. Zach Bryn gives viewers an inside look at what the band's basketball game day routine looks like.
My name is Zach Bryn, and this is what a game day looks like from the perspective of the basketball bands. Our call time is 40 minutes before game time, so we have to be in our section ready to play 40 minutes before the game starts. So a lot of the students like to get here a little earlier to drop off their instruments and the coats in the room behind us and get checked in with our secretaries who are stationed right out here before the games. And after we make our way up the ramps, we find ourselves in our section, which is on the second level behind the north basket, right next to the DJ. And now we wait for our lovely band director or graduate assistant to call us some songs to help keep the crowd and the band into the game. I caught up with drummer Ethan Gucci about his experience with the Butler bands on game days.
Oh man, game days, they're just electric. There's nothing like it. I play the drums, so getting the adrenaline of the game and combining that with playing the drums, which I feel are a very adrenaline-focused instrument. I think it's a lot of fun. The team will go on a big run and you'll have all this energy and you'll just be able to get it all out during a timeout when we play Master of Puppets or a really fun song with the band. It's so much fun.
Game days from the athletic band's perspective is such a wonderful experience, and I think it adds to the game itself. Back to you guys.
One of the most interesting places on Butler University's campus is Butler Brew Cafe. Over the summer, Butler Brew revamped, going from being run by Bon Appetit to being student-run. Located in Dugan Hall, Butler Brew is a cafe that ranges from coffees to croissants. The Butler Collegian says that Emily Hawk, the Dean of Innovation in the Lacey School of Business, and Callie Wright, the lead project manager of the Transformation Lab, have been collaborating with Bon Appetit. Butler Brew worker Brittany Garcia was asked about the transition from Bon Appetit to being student-run.
A transition? Well, I had never worked on campus before, so it was definitely a first experience, but I would say I personally prefer it as it goes along with my class schedules, and it's easier for me just to work around with my homework and everything.
Sounds like an exciting change for Butler Brew.
Thank you again for joining us for our pregame show. I am Gino Frank with Nixon Blackman.
We hope you had a good time with our show and enjoy the game.
Big East Women's Basketball is brought to you by Invesco QQQ. It's the official ETF of the Big East Conference. February nearing its end, and a rematch of sorts. The only win in Big East Conference play this year for the Xavier Musketeers. The home team, the Bulldogs of Butler, looking for a little revenge with a big matchup against UConn coming this weekend. Just a few games left before it's postseason time in Big East Women's Basketball. Hi, everybody. Alongside AB Stocks, I'm Will Haskett. So glad you could be with us for what promises to be an important night for both of these teams, AB. Both of them at the bottom of the Big East standings. And with that postseason tournament kicking off in just a couple of weeks' time, momentum is key right now. How do these teams get momentum going into the postseason?
Well, as we saw in Game 1 versus Butler and Xavier, the game came down to heart. Xavier was able to find a way to win in large part due to Mary Canerva. The freshman is averaging 10.5 points per game, leads the team in assists, and is on track to break the all-time assist record at Xavier if she keeps this pace. Mary Canerva also is the freshman that's highlighting this Xavier roster. For Butler, look for Kylan McGuff. Butler did a good job in Game 1 of rebounding, and large part was due to Kylan McGuff. She leads the Big East in double-doubles and is 36th nationally. Kylan McGuff also leads the team in 4 statistical categories. You're going to see a lot out of Kylan. Take a good look at her three-point shot.
So these two teams met back on January the 18th. Xavier ran out to a 9-point lead in the first quarter in that one. And it was their only Big East win in their last 54 Big East contests. So obviously for Butler, understanding that that was kind of the game that got away perhaps this season for them. The injury bug has continued to plague this Bulldog team. What do they need tonight beyond Kylan McGuff to get that 5th win in conference and try and get them out of where they are right now, a tie for 9th in the standings, which has big-time seeding implications when it comes to the tournament in a couple of weeks?
Butler needs to rely on its #1 strength, which is depth. Butler leads the Big East in bench points, going from the scorers, starting through the bench and around the horn. That's how Butler moves the basketball and likes to score.
On the Xavier side, they're averaging just 45.2 points in Big East play. That's 11th and last in the conference. You mentioned what Canerva's been able to do for them as a freshman. She averaged 16 points a game last week for second-year head coach Billy Chambers, but it has to be more than the freshman Canerva. How can this team find a way to break out of their offensive funk?
Xavier also has some depth in experience. A lot of international players headline this Xavier roster. Look for Lauren Christie in particular to get out ahead of the pack.
There's Austin Parkinson, third year again, completely ravaged by injuries. It's a team that was just a 3-loss team entering Big East play, and then since 4-11 in conference play this year, and will be without the services tonight again of Lily Carmody, their kind of energizing freshman who was in a walking boot when this team went on the road and lost at St. John's last weekend. They expect to have her back before the end of the season, but she will not be available for the game tonight, so it's another player down, including the top scorer in Caroline Strandy for Butler. So they got to figure it out again. And you see Ari Wiggins getting the start tonight for Butler for the first time in quite some time for this program. First jump shot missed out of the baseline by Martinez Lopez, and then a foul committed by Butler. On Xavier. It goes on Mackenzie Gibbons. Will give the ball back to the Dogs.
Butler playing without Lily Carmody today is a big adjustment for the Bulldogs. They're already adjusting without Caroline Strandy and Jordan Melmans. So now with Lily Carmody out, look for Butler to have to make some offensive adjustments. We talk about Kyla McGuff's impact. The only two statistical categories that McGuff does not lead in, Lily Carmody led in.
Wiggins thought about the three top of the key and said it's McGuff. She's been making more than half of her threes the last 5 games and stays absolutely red hot. That is her 20th three-pointer made in the last 5 games plus. She might be the hottest shooter from beyond the arc in the entire Big East right now, and Butler's on the board first.
Three-point shooting is going to be an emphasis of this Xavier defense. Offensively, Xavier's going to move the ball a lot. They run an open motion, a lot of these cuts, driving kicks.
That one almost misses the full mark by Taylor Purvis. Xavier really struggles to shoot the basketball. And Butler trying to exploit that here tonight. It's Janes working the post. Super efficient and a 5-0 spurt for Butler.
Well, Sydney James with her signature 2-dribble kick back fadeaway.
Purvis worked into a double team. Janes took it away. Xavier's been turning it over nearly 25 times a game their last 3 contests. And Wiggins off the ball, so no real true point handling at the front for Butler in this one, with Wiggins in the starting lineup. Carson Norman back to the bench for Austin Parkinson's team in this one. James tried the backdoor look to McGuff, but it was thrown at her shin. Wild throwback to try and save the basketball. Never save it under your own basket. That's the old rule. It comes right to McGuff, and she lays it in.
What a great hustle play by McGuff to gather possession of the ball, withstand the bump and the wherewithal to go up strong and finish instead of looking to kick it out.
Butler denying everything to Canerva early, including that last drive, and that'll be an offensive foul as Mackenzie Gibbons was moving and she tried to set the screen. And anything but the slow start in the first quarter for Butler again. They were down double digits early against Xavier in that meeting back in Cincinnati in January. And you know that man's point of emphasis in this one was we are not going to get down early in this game. 7-0 and trying to grow on it here.
That's right. Xavier scored 18 points in that first opening quarter of the matchup, really getting off to a hot start. But Ari Wiggins has put on some defense, ball pressure, and Butler's moving the basketball. Nice back screen to an open layup for Molesky.
Easy action there for Butler in this 9-0 spurt to begin the game. See McGuff making sure that Canerva has to work for everything. She'll kick it out. Martinez is 0 for 2 to start this game. And Xavier really labors to score, and the road woes continuing. Canerva trying to make it on the bucket for the first time. Good head fake, and the freshman gets him on the board 3 minutes in.
Nice simplicity by the freshman, going up strong with her left and able to avoid any contact.
McGuff, agitated by the defense of Purvis, asks for the screen. Now Janes, good position, has the kick out if she wants it. Wiggins didn't want the three. Wisely gives it up. McGuff can't connect on her second.
That's the inside-out basketball. Sydney James can score inside on the block, and she's a phenomenal passer through the double team.
Good backdoor look. Canerva couldn't handle it. And now we'll operate with 10 to shoot. Purvis looking, deflected, and another Musketeer turnover. In a long time since we've had a stoppage, both teams a little winded. McGuff doesn't care. Heaves again. That one was off to the left the entire way, and that ball out of bounds will allow substitutes and for both teams to catch a little breather.
Butler likes this pace. They're able to go deep in their bench, sub with strength and consistency and versatility in style of play. So coming off the court, you have Sydney James enter in Kristen Carter, a 6'4" sophomore, different style of play she has on the block, also with her ability to drive from the high post.
Butler matching field goals to turnovers for Xavier. 4 made baskets for the Bulldogs early, 4 turnovers for the Musketeers. Purvis ran into a wall, dribbled it off her side, and that's the 5th turnover as she looked for a foul call and won't get it. Our officials. Falta Sissoko Stevens, Brandon Enterline, and Ashley Loss was the one on the baseline with that last call. Is Carson Norman in now to run the post and try and survive that 70-foot pressure from Canerva. Jocelyn Land early off the Butler bench. McGuff, Carter had the perfect seal and traveled with it.
Another nice post feed. Butler looking to go inside. Kristen Carter just took one extra hop. For a large portion of the season, Carter was starting the game. Sydney James coming in as the sub. But Coach P switching it up for conference play.
Mayo, wild spinning against Norman, who held her ground. Now Norman will look to push that pace. Carter was not the trailer that she was looking for. McGuff, good discard of the defense. Land, quick trigger. And Canerva head immediately up, trying to break down things in the fast break for the Musketeers. She can't get her second basket. Carter with it, and the track meet continues. For two teams that struggle to score out of the 50s, the pace has been pretty frenetic to begin, but Norman dribbled it off her foot and then got lucky. It kicked off of the left foot of Martinez. Butler will have it after we get to the first timeout of the night. 4 of 7 shooting early for Butler. No surprise, McGuff has stayed hot of late as the Dogs lead by 7. 6-2 Butler leads here inside Hickle Fieldhouse with AB Stocks. I'm Will Haskett, and AB, the early story for both teams, but more so for Xavier, has been turnovers. 8 of them combined between these two teams, including 5 for Xavier here in the early going.
Turnovers are always going to be a nemesis, especially for teams who have a low field goal percentage. Luckily for Butler, they have a strong field goal percentage, ranking top half in the Big East in both regular field goal and three-point field goal percentage. For Xavier, however, the story is a lot different. Xavier has to value each possession to a much greater degree.
These are the bottom 2 teams in the conference when it comes to turnovers per game. So Xavier averaging over 19 a game this year, Butler over 18. McGuff reclaims possession. Canerva just absolutely stifling defense every second of this game. Makaleski thought about it, stepped into a short 2 and missed everything, and the ball sails out. Makaleski's been shooting it really well from 3. That's got awkward distance, right? You're so accustomed to that distance behind the arc. You step in to take a 17-footer and your body has to adjust.
Yeah, Riley Makaleski does have one thing in her advantage always, regardless of her shot, and that is her physique. At 6'2", she has a nice reach, and she can extend as a taller guard.
Her younger sister might be one of the best prep shooters in the entire country heading to college next year. Nearby product, Makaleski in the greater Indianapolis area. Ball stays here for Xavier, which is one of its first 6 from the floor here in this first quarter. Tough handoff there. Quick trigger, Mayo beats the buzzer and knocks it in for 3. A 33% three-point shooter for a team that's shooting below 30% from 3. That was a big shot to get Xavier into this, and if they had missed their last 2 from distance. And that's an offensive foul on McGuff. Tried to create space against Purvis. Gets called for the shove, and so now a little momentum swing in the favor of Xavier.
This is something you saw a lot in game 1. Xavier able to capitalize off of the made 3 by Ajanique Mayo immediately next possession, forcing a turnover. Where stats are equal, heart matters, and Xavier plays with so much heart.
Mayo again. Beautiful offense around the screen. Zeenstra couldn't get there, and Ajanique Mayo's got 6 quick points.
And well executed. The screens were timely. The pass was precision.
You can document the offensive struggles all season long, but one thing that's been true from start to finish of every game is that Xavier will guard you hard, and you're seeing it now. Buoyed by a couple of made 3s in the opposite end. Norman, good head fake. Couldn't convert. Carter battling for the rebound, and they're going to get Lucia Martinez a little bit too rough, holding underneath. So Carter keeps the possession alive for Butler, which has missed its last 5 shots and has not scored in nearly 5 minutes.
Yeah, Lucia's defensive rebounding has to be intense. Butler is going to attack the offensive glass.
Every pass, ball denial right now by Xavier. Butler really struggling to get into an offensive set. Zeenstra drives, and that's going to be an offensive foul. Took one extra step, and Canerva was waiting for her in the lane. No real argument for the Butler bench. Probably had a 15-footer from the elbow, AB, instead looking to distribute and walks herself right into an offensive foul and another Butler turnover.
And that's tough because it was the right pass, but the wrong footwork. Perhaps a jump stop in that scenario allows her to get that pass off clean.
Xavier looking for its first lead of the night. Butler now ball hawking on the defensive end. Canerva through McGuff. Great slide by Janes to force the kick out. 5 to shoot. Lauren Christie driving into the lane. Janes blocked it away. It'll be a shot clock violation before she can get that one up, and then Janes hurts herself, twisting up her ankle on the way down, I believe, hoping it's just the ankle. She's breathing through it, holding the back of that right foot. And she said she cannot go. Again, a team that has been absolutely ravaged by injury this year.
Yep, up on the rebound. Sydney James and Lauren Christie going up together for that rebound attempt, and their feet just kind of got tangled up a little bit.
The staff out to deal with her. Initially thought it was the ankle. Your fear kind of goes to the way that she was holding it and the way that it just sort of popped on the way down, that it could be something to the Achilles area as well. And she's going to need help getting off the court. Again, a team that lost its leading scorer, Caroline Strandy, right before the start of Big East play. Jordan Melman's before the end of the year playing without Lily Carmody, who's missing her second consecutive game. And James really, after the Strandy injury, providing that senior sort of spark. Her scoring average has been up way more minutes. It's just another body now lost for Austin Parkinson as she's been helped directly to the Butler locker room. And that's going to be an offensive foul on Wiggins. All sort of started by McGuff kind of fighting and arm slapping with Purvis to get through it.
Well, it looks like they're going
to get it on McGuff
beforehand. Sign the foul to McGuff, who on her way through the ball screen was just trying to clear space.
That's her second here in the first quarter, so we'll see what Austin Parkinson wants to do. And now an offensive illegal screen called on Lauren Christie for sticking the leg out. So you've got McGuff with 2 fouls. You just lost Janes to injury. You've got 3 bodies on the bench right now, healthy and dressed for Butler, and one of them has 2 fouls.
But this is why Butler has an opportunity to rely on its depth. All season long, Butler has been going to his bench, using depth, and the players have valuable experience despite their youth.
Wiggins can't get the floater to go. Ball kicked out. Last touch should be off of Makaleski. It is. And it'll head to Xavier. We've been stuck on 9-8 for a while. Butler's led the entire way, and that's despite going 6 minutes and 12 seconds without a basket, or without a point, I should even say.
Yeah, Xavier's been capitalizing on the momentum started by that three-pointer by Angelique Mayo. They have an 8-0 run over the past 5, almost 6 minutes.
And they turn it over for the 8th time in this quarter. We are not going to be packaging this first 10 minutes and sending it off to the Basketball Hall of Fame. I can promise you that. A lot of turnovers. Defensive effort has been there on both sides, but neither team able to really find offensive rhythm. Zeenstra around a Carter screen. Tied up in a double team. Mayo on the floor. Everybody on the deck. Makaleski ends up with it. Wiggins thought about the trigger. The sophomore instead driving. Good patient play instead of making a quick decision out top. And Butler, which goes nearly 7 minutes without scoring, reclaims a 3-point lead.
Now Butler out moving defensively, getting up active on the ball.
Mayo can't stay perfect from 3. They'll get the reset, and the shot clock nearly identical to the game clock. Carter got in the way, but Christie swallows it. It was her layup with a minute to go that won it for Xavier in Cincinnati. She kicks out this time. Missing is Canerva. 2 to shoot. At the horn, Purvis ties it at the end of the quarter.
Taylor Purvis, big shot to close out that quarter, tying up the score. Xavier still has the momentum, the wind in its sails, trying to keep Butler at bay. 11-11, end of the first.
Start of the second quarter between Butler and Xavier, all tied up at 11. You see the one win for Xavier this year in the Big East coming against this Butler team back on January the 18th. In fact, that's the only win Xavier's had in a Big East regular season game in the last 56 contests as Billy Chambers tries to bring this program back to the heights of some 15 years ago. And for Butler, recognizing how much that defeat in Cincinnati kind of defined the lull that they were in, figuring out what this team was going to be, wanted to take care of business here tonight, AB, early. They got off to a hot start, but now punched right in the mouth by Xavier 10 minutes in.
Xavier wasting no time, and immediately Mary Canerva, again, in the passing lanes. You like the intensity and the focus that Xavier has. Their screens are sharp, their timing is precise, they're playing and moving well together as a team defensively.
Some barking back and forth between teammates before that second inbound for Butler as they're just trying to find any sort of cohesion, communication, and rhythm. And Makalewski is driven twice, and that gets a raised fist in the air from Austin Parkinson, just liking the decision-making and the take charge attitude from his sophomore.
Well, Riley Makalewski has to be aggressive and confident. You're looking at a player who is Big East all-freshman team.
Couldn't get out to deny the three, but Mayo misses for the second straight shot, and now Butler trying to add to its lead. Zeenstra finds space in the lane. Beautiful dump off. And Butler moving crisply to begin this second quarter with back-to-back buckets.
And you're looking at a freshman, sophomore, the youth of Butler scoring these baskets at this critical point in the game.
Makalewski calls out the pass in the middle, and they're going to get Carter diving for the loose ball, fouling Purvis. I think that call could have gone either way. The Butler bench just excited by the effort as Rooney Oreo will check in for the first time for Xavier as they try to go a little bit bigger to combat what Butler's been doing to them offensively on the other end.
Length, getting length on the court, and in the game of basketball, there's just no denying length matters and gives an advantage.
Christie trying to create space, and Carter completely recycles it. Ball stays on this end. Xavier getting another crack at it.
Well, right on time, Kristen Carter showing why her length matters and makes a difference, getting the blocked shot and able to even close out and extend that arm on the closeout to deter the shot of Lauren Christie.
They'll take Christie shooting at that from that far out if you're Butler defensively. Carter, Christie couldn't get the foul call, kicked it to Wiggins, and that is a 7-0 spurt for Butler to begin this second quarter.
Well, Ari Wiggins, one of the top shooters by percentage on this Butler squad, shooting almost 50%.
Good help by Carter. It's Christie again. That is outside of her comfort zone and range. Ball kicked out, last touch by Butler. And Xavier will go deeper into the bench. Julia Garcia-Raj comes in to the game, a sophomore from Barcelona. She actually started the last game for Xavier when they lost at Villanova on Sunday. And now off the bench here early in the second for Billy Chambers.
Another one of these young players that show the bright future of Big East basketball, a sophomore.
Another block for Butler. Oreo denied by Land. Butler trying to add to it here in the second quarter. See if they get to that offense quickly. Good backdoor look, Zeenstra. Good job collecting, uses glass, and Austin Parkinson is fired up. Timeout called by Xavier. Butler hitting all the right notes here to spurt out 9 straight points here in the second quarter and rebuild their largest lead of the night.
A nice backdoor pass from Kristen Carter to Lily Zeenstra. Butler really making sure that they find and look for those backdoors. All game long, we've seen them be intentional.
Well, Butler started the second quarter much like it started the first, but defense on the other end has been really good. Back-to-back big blocks by the Dogs, keying some offense here, AB.
Defense creating offense. Every coach loves to see that. And then when you're moving the basketball, playing well together, generating energy, not only energy on the court, but also on the bench and in the arena, that's what momentum does. And that's why basketball is just a game vulnerable to swings, ebbs, and flows.
Butler led in this game so far by the 6 points of Riley McAleski, 5 for Kylan McGuff. And McGuff went to the bench late in that first quarter with 2 fouls. She did not start the second quarter, and now this backup unit, you mentioned the depth, which is really being tested with all of the injuries. If you're just tuning in, Sydney James went down with what's to be a serious injury to her lower right leg. So Austin Parkinson trying to figure out what combinations are even left for Butler, but this 9-0 spurt to begin the second quarter without your top player, Kylan McGuff, who's saddled with 2 fouls.
And other than Ari Wiggins on the court, for Butler, you're looking at 4 freshmen and sophomores.
Wiggins kicking that intended pass from Garcia Raj. And it'll be Xavier underneath.
For Xavier, Taylor Purvis in the corner, in the right corner, provides a lot of the leadership as the experienced graduate student out on the court.
Canerva coming in at the next dead ball. Is that one off glass? Not sure if Oreo called glass or bank or not, but it's open for her there, and Xavier has its first basket here of the second quarter.
Well, Oreo, with her experience, also looked over at the official. She wanted a little acknowledgement on the defensive contact.
McAleski, good job to read the overplay, but can't convert in the paint.
This is a nice matchup. Oreo and McAleski, both taller players, 6'2" each. They're going to put a lot of challenge.
Active hand, Zeenstra poked it away. 9th turnover for Xavier. Now Zeenstra. A perfect little series back and forth, defense to offense. And Zeenstra now has 5 in the game.
We're seeing why Butler is ranked, again, number 4 in the Big East in three-point field goal percentage.
Martinez trying to go to work. Christie instead will drive at Carter. Tough left hand, no. Right over the back. And they're going to say it is an over the back, as Land took the worst of that, took a shot to the face, battling for that rebound with the freshman, who picks up her second. Land's fine, just waterworks after getting poked in the eye. And again, Butler really can't afford to have anybody on the floor go to the bench. Wiggins does as Norman comes back in.
Yeah, the absence of Lily Carmody at point guard is going to play a significant impact. You talk about the length and the size of Butler. Lily Carmody, although she's a freshman, she stands at 5'11". Contrast that with Carson Norman, the 5'6" point guard in the game right now for Butler.
Officials will take another look at this foul here, AB, because while it was called common on the ground, is the elbow coming down. You can see it on the to the head on the over the back. Anything intentional there. You're just coming down with the ball in possession, but anytime there's contact made to the head, we're going to go check it and see if it warrants a flagrant 1 or flagrant 2 violation. But just from first glance, I'm not really sure if there's anything beyond just the flow. And it looks as if they're going to call incidental.
A strong basketball play by both athletes. And of course, there's an elevated sense of physicality, an elevated sense of rivalry, of course, between Xavier and Butler, not only for Big East standings, but just the legacy of both programs.
Norman shakes off the help, but now will work against the pressure of Purvis. Carter works the high post. Land can't return it. almost threw it away. Zeenstra got to the right spot. Quick recognition and another great entry for a Carter easy layup.
What a well-executed offensive possession, and just highlighted by the beautiful pass to Carter.
Interior pass should be a held ball, is a held ball. Possession arrow keeps it on this end. Vivian Naismith is in now for Xavier, so the Musketeers have exhausted pretty much everybody with eligibility that's dressed here tonight. And fresh off the bench, freshman can't convert, but a reset, and she's in.
Naismith, the 6-foot freshman, one of the many players on the Xavier roster with international experience.
Carter, good find to Zeenstra. Zeenstra's at a half step the whole night, but that one blocked. Xavier does not have numbers. Purvis trying to go through the defense and then wisely pulls it out. Christie against Land. Traveled.
Yeah, Lauren Christie, she tried to use a little bit of that length that we were highlighting earlier to reach around for the left-handed scoop shot. Good defense inside by Carter.
And McGuff now off the bench for Butler, so she rests for about 6.5 minutes or so of game time. And comes in with 2 fouls. We'll see if Xavier tries to do anything about that when they have the ball offensively. Makalewski. Hot potato around the perimeter. Carter wildly flips it through a double team. And Naismith. And a foul will be whistled on Carter, trying to deny Canerva the other direction. So that's the second now on Kristen Carter. Carter departs. Lily Stoddard will get some run for Butler, as foul trouble will creep into, again, a team that's down one of its starters in Sydney James, who left with an apparent ankle or Achilles injury in the first quarter. Butler's done a good job bottling up Xavier's leading scorer. Canerva, the only double-figure scorer, has scored just 2 points on 1 of 3 shooting.
Well, the length of Butler seems to be a factor.
Oreo off a nice set piece, drills the triple.
But not that possession. Xavier with a nice, clean baseline out-of-bounds play.
4 of 8 from three-point range for the Musketeers. That one poked away as McGuff and Norman were on the same page. Purvis had the 3 to beat the horn at the end of the first quarter. Now we'll work against the smaller Norman in the post. Christie still trying from out there, but just seems a little bit too far out of her range as she continues in an 0 for 6 shooting night.
Well, it's the three-point shooting that allowed Xavier to make such an impact in that first quarter. Look for Xavier to continue to play aggressive, put their foot on the gas, and be confident at the 3.
Purvis has been right in the pocket of Norman for the last couple of possessions, and this time was just a bit too close for comfort and gets called for the foul. Purvis will depart, and Nazanique Mayo is back in, needing the same sort of spurt that she provided in the first quarter with those back-to-back triples.
Now those back-to-back 3s give momentum, and then Xavier being able to get stops in between those possessions to capitalize on that run.
Zeenstra drives, and we will have free throws, which will be the first free throws for either team for the night, and we're less than 3 minutes away from halftime.
Well, in the first quarter, you could see Coach Parkinson continue to implore Butler to drive and attack the basket. Don't just settle for three-point shots, unless, of course, you're Kyla McGuffin shooting over 50% in your recent games from three. For everyone else, continue to drive, find ways to earn trips to the free throw line.
Butler tops in the Big East in free throw attempts per game. They get to the line on average 17 times a game. That number has dwindled a bit in recent Big East play, but still a big part of their identity of getting into the lane when they're not shooting from three-point range and get free points there. Zeenstra having herself quite the half, as she's now up to 7 points and nearly perfect shooting. Christie, Naismith.
That's 2 solid moves we've seen inside now from Naismith.
Land can't get it back from three-point range, but Zeenstra runs down the long rebound. Zeenstra bullying her way through. Land left open in the corner. Just a bit too strong. Thought they had the ball back. Instead, it's Canerva. She kicks back. Mayo had the hot hand early. Land has this rebound. Butler electing not to push. There were a couple of Xavier bodies on the floor, but they will run a set instead here, protecting a 7-point lead.
Yeah, the pace all game has been up and down, up and down. Turnovers have kept the score from getting higher than one would think with the number of possessions both teams have had.
7 to shoot, and as they tried to find Stoddard in the post, they're going to get Wiggins on the offensive foul, driving through before dumping that off. So another Butler turnover. Both teams have combined to turn it over 19 times here in this first half, to your point about it's not about lack of good shooting. Both teams actually shooting it relatively well, especially from distance if you're Xavier, but the limited shots because of how many giveaways both teams are producing. That three rattles in. Petra Orbalova off of the bench knocks down the 5th three-pointer of the half for Xavier, and the Musketeers back within 4.
That's what Xavier has to do. Continue to play with that confidence, never mind the previous games. And Butler has the tools in their tool belt to answer at the three. Ari Wiggins, again, another three-point make for the 45% three-point shooter.
It doesn't get a lot of volume up, but when she does, they are quality. Canerva driving to the defense, and they're set with Stoddard to draw the offensive foul.
That's why you have to highlight Mary Canerva, not only what she does with the basketball offensively and her passing elite distribution abilities, but defensively. She's committed to the defensive end of the game, able to draw the charge.
Just the first on Canerva. She'll stay on the court. You see the split there between the clocks. If Butler can break this pressure quickly, potential 2-for-1 situation here at the end of the second quarter. Wiggins will patiently work it up against Lopez. Makalewski asking Stoddard to get out of the way so she could drive the lane. That should be an offensive foul. It doesn't matter. She flipped it up wildly. And now if Xavier wants to, it can hold for the final shot. Instead, it's Naismith working her way right to the rim to score quickly. 5-point game. Butler has 10 to shoot it. Wiggins had the speed advantage, won't use it. Instead, it's Norman heaving at the last second. Butler probably could have worked a little better shot, and the half will come to an end with Butler racing out AB to a couple of leads there at the beginning of both quarters, but Xavier hanging tough and using something that hasn't been there most of the year, the three-point shot to keep it close.
Over the course of the season, Xavier has struggled at the three, only shooting 29%. But despite Butler's effort to continue to drive the basketball at the rim, earned trips to the line. Xavier's three-point shooting is the highlight.
Musketeers make 5 of their last 7 to make it a ball game at the half. It's the home team leading by 5. Butler 30, Xavier 25 at the half here on the Big East Digital Network.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Butler Sports Live halftime show on the Big East Digital Network. I'm Sean Davies, and alongside me is Jordan Melmans.
We've got a lot of stories to cover around Butler University, so let's get straight into it.
The men's club basketball team has been off to a hot start this season. This past weekend, they hosted Purdue with the last playoff spot up for grabs. Here's Gino DeFrank, who was covering the games this weekend.
The atmosphere was alive and well at the HRC on Sunday afternoon for this high-intensity matchup. Butler started off hot, as it seemed like they could not miss from deep, but Purdue was able to hang around as they only went into the half down 10. As we switched sides, it seemed like Butler couldn't get the ball to go in. Purdue fought back and was starting to create a cushion of their own. Senior Jaden Doster was not ready to give up as he knocked down back-to-back three-pointers to make it a one-possession game. Purdue then responded and opened back up their lead and held on to win 71-60. The effort by the Dogs was for sure recognized as Purdue was a great all-around team. The main problem on the day was handling the Boilermakers' length. Purdue dominated on the glass on both ends, as their front court had 4 players over 6'8". Butler came out slow to start the second game. As you could tell, they lost their fight as they needed to come away with both wins to qualify for playoffs. They ended up falling 61-39 in the second game. Freshman standout Charlie Moore met with us after the game to talk about today and going forward.
Today's game didn't really go how we wanted. We played really hard the first game, but we ended up losing by about 7, 9. And then doubleheader, we didn't have as much energy coming out. We got down early, and it just didn't happen for us today. But we got one more game next week, or in a couple weeks, so we'll get after that.
The team ends the regular season on March 1st when they travel to Crawfordsville to take on Wabash College.
The Butler University cheer team has made history. They returned from Orlando, Florida as national champions, competing against 22 of the best college cheer teams from across the country. Their hard work, dedication, and Bulldog spirit shone through as they brought the national championship title home to Hinkle Fieldhouse. But this victory is just the beginning. Their incredible performance has not only earned them a trophy, but also a newfound respect on campus. With more eyes on the team, many are eager to shed light on the countless hours of practice, training, and teamwork it took to get here. The Butler cheer team's story is one of perseverance, passion, and pride, and now they're ready to inspire the entire Butler community to new heights.
Personally, I was thinking like, I'm doing this for this team, I'm doing it for this person, I'm doing it for this reason. Instead of like, oh my gosh, I have to hit this stunt, I have to do this. It's very much just like, Hinkle Fieldhouse is there. It was Usted Moorhead State, so I was like, as long as I hear a "m" instead of a "b", that's all I need right now. And then they did, and I actually can't tell you what I thought or what I did because I don't remember. All around, like, it's just kind of assumed that the cheerleaders will be there, which, like, yes, that is part of our job, but also, like, we do hard things that, like, people don't see a lot. Like, we still go to weights with, like, all the other teams. We still have our own practices on top of other games, on top of when we do compete. So it's very much like, I feel people look at cheerleaders and they're like, oh, they're the pretty girls. But like, there's so much more depth to cheerleading that a lot of people don't see.
Injuries are an unfortunate part of the world of sports. For the Butler men's track and field team, injuries are starting to pile up with their conference meet right around the corner. After 4 successful meets at the Indianapolis Fairgrounds, the Bulldogs are 2 weeks out from their Big East Conference meet. Placing second last year, the men's team is looking to repeat their podium performance once again. However, this will prove to be a challenge as they have numerous injuries across the board. Point scorers such as Michael Barros, William Zagorski, and Luke Walden have been dealing with injuries all season long. Regional pole vaulter Luke Walden recently suffered a stress fracture in his foot, and he gave us some insight on how he's ramping up for indoor conference.
Yeah, I was kind of thrown into that first meet, and since then I've just been trying to get back to my full form for conference so that I feel good. And I know it's really competitive this year in the Big East, and we need every point we can get, so every inch I can add to that height is going to be really important.
The Butler Band is in the middle of hiring a new band director for the next academic school year. Professor Melissa Johnson, known by her students as Prof. J or PJ, is leaving the Butler Athletic Bands program at the end of the school year after she got engaged this past summer. The School of Music at Butler has started a search to find Professor Johnson's successor, but what makes this search unique is that some students on the Athletic Bands leadership team also get to take part in this process. Students on the leadership team get the opportunity to sit down with potential candidates and get to know them to see if it would be a good fit. CEO of Student Leadership, Isaac Betcher, gave his insight on what qualities he's looking for in potential candidates.
I think a big one is being able to maintain healthy relations with students. It's important that you're able to maintain these relationships, that get like a personal bond with your students when possible, but still like keep it professional, still able to keep it modest, and strike that healthy chord that I think is important for a lot of professors have, but is especially vital for someone in this type of role.
3 candidates have been selected to lead part of a rehearsal over the past few weeks, with the last one coming in this Friday as the School of Music narrows down their search.
As the Butler University tennis team continues to travel across the country and play matches, let's take a look at one of the players on the team. Arnesh Singh is a sophomore tennis player here at Butler. He is ranked second in the lineup for doubles with his partner Ricardo Baldi. He started playing tennis after the age of 10 after being inspired by his siblings, who also play the sport. He announced his commitment to Butler in November 2022 after playing for Lakes Tennis Academy in Frisco, Texas. Some other colleges that were interested in Singh included Bryant University and a number of Division III schools. Singh was asked what it's like being a tennis player here at Butler.
My life as a tennis player at Butler is pretty rough. We have early morning wake-ups starting at 5:30, and then we go 7 to 9 practice, and then 9:30 till 2 I have class. And after class, I usually want to hit the training room or the weight room, and then I have time to go eat and study, and then head straight to bed.
Singh is a 3-time Texas Grand Slam winner and was ranked in the top 30 in the nation for tennis players aged 12 through 16. In September 2022, Singh trained with Olympic silver medalist Austin Krajicek. Away from the court, he's an international business major. Singh briefly talked about what he believes is his biggest achievement as a tennis player.
My biggest accomplishment as a tennis player is probably winning the Texas Grand Slam a couple of times. It's one of the biggest tournaments in Texas back then, so that was really important.
The next time you can catch Arnesh in action is this Friday, when the Bulldogs take on Western Michigan and Purdue Northwest.
This weekend, the annual Butler Dance Marathon took place at the HRC on Butler's campus. This annual event raises money for the Riley Hospital for Children and Miracle Networking Hospital. Students from around campus took part in events throughout the day on the basketball courts at the HRC, which included lip syncs from all the fraternities and sororities on campus. While not participating or watching these dances, students can learn more about different Riley kids' stories at different booths around the courts. BUDM exec members were also available to answer questions about fundraising throughout the event during the day. During the day, the men's basketball team played at home against Georgetown in what was dubbed BUDM and Project 44 Day. Different color teams were split up into different sections around the stadium to give a nice rainbow of color while watching the game. Before the day, Greek houses painted banners to match the BUDM theme, which was racing. Sophomore Jack Goring talked with us about his role as the yellow team captain for the day and the importance of BUDM for the surrounding communities.
I think one of the most important things about this day is you get to hear from the Riley families and kind of hear their story and how the money that we raised is impacting them and what the donations truly go towards, because you can see the real life impact of that, and the stories are really impactful and like make you realize kind of your impact and what your money's going towards.
If you're interested in donating, all you have to do is go to ButlerU_DM on Instagram and click the link in their bio to learn more.
The leading Women of Tomorrow Club had a mixer nicknamed Mentors and Mocktails this past Tuesday, February 11th, showing that they care about their members and their future. This event, which was created by the leading Women of Tomorrow Executive Board, allowed anyone to come talk to professionals in a variety of fields. Students who attended were able to gain advice in fields such as medical, real estate, music and theater and education, finance, advocacy, communication, and media, journalism, and law. The director of student activities and in RGSS faculty were also in attendance. The leading Women of Tomorrow's mission is to encourage more young women and non-binary individuals to consider careers in a public service and bridge the gender gap. They have proven that they want to continue to follow and promote their mission statement with this event.
Yeah, I think it was something we were kind of feeling the Valentine's Day vibes, so we wanted to do something with like bringing everyone together around this time and doing something that was kind of like very bubbly and pink and cute. So that kind of started the idea for the event, and then the whole mentor thing came from it's just such a good idea to have people meeting other people that are in their field to get a good idea of career options for them, so that's kind of where that came from.
If you are interested in joining the leading Women of Tomorrow Club and attending events like this, reach out on Instagram at butler.lwt.
In fall of 2022, Butler opened up its very own esports park, a state-of-the-art facility that contains 50 gaming PCs, an area of gaming consoles, and virtual reality. The esports park gives students a place to compete in tournaments, stream, and more. Now with this facility, it gives the Butler esports team, which was founded in 2017, a place to practice and compete. This team is student-led and is one of the most competitive in the country. The team competes in the Big East in both Rocket League and League of Legends at the club level, and have competed in 13 titles. Butler's also started a minor called Esports Communication. It is a minor that builds and demands skills that are needed for success in the booming world of competitive gaming. Students enrolled in this minor get a foundation in esports production, communication, business and marketing, and more. The curriculum hopes to prepare students for a variety of careers in esports. One of the teachers for this minor, James LaFakis, discusses what he teaches in his courses.
I'm teaching the students what is it like to be a streamer, what is it like to be a YouTuber, and on top of that, teaching them how some of the biggest names made it. What's been really cool is we've had some folks contribute to the class and make videos, especially for our class, and it's just different than how it's done.
What a great new program and facility for students interested in esports to learn more.
Thank you for joining us for Butler Sports Live Halftime Show. We'll get you back to Hinkle for second half action shortly.
East women's basketball is brought to you by Invesco QQQ, official ETF of the Big East Conference. Getting set for the second half here inside Hinkle Fieldhouse. Alongside AB Stocks, I'm Will Haskett. 30-25 our score here at the half of next to last home game of the year for Butler, with UConn coming in Saturday afternoon. Two good starts to both quarters in that first half, but AB, this pesky Xavier team, which has its one win earlier this season against Butler, hanging tough here on the road as Makaleski starts the scoring for the Dogs.
Well, Riley Makaleski wasting no time to get right back on the saddle for Butler. She was second on the Butler roster, second in scoring in the game 1 versus Xavier earlier this season.
She leads all scorers now with 8 in this one. That shot missed by Martinez, and McGuff clears the board. Trying to clear the pressure, Butler with pace. Carter mishandled, good kick out. Wiggins sets her feet and can't connect for the third time tonight from three-point land. In fact, her first miss from beyond the arc, and it'll be Musketeers' ball.
Well, aggressive wrap pass there by Ari Wiggins to try to get that early post feed into Kristen Carter. And credit Xavier for being prepared and quick on the closeout.
Canera picks her dribble up. She was held to just 1 of 3 shooting and 2 points in that first half by the Butler defense. It was several others off of the Musketeers bench that kept him in it. Purvis nearly missed it all, but Carter couldn't corral.
The difference in the game between both teams, we talked about three-point shooting in the first half. In the second half, I think it's going to be a matter of getting those other shots. Obviously, keeping up three-point shooting is going to be important. Limiting fouls will also be a key factor as the duration goes. Both teams with multiple players with 2 fouls. But it's the 2-point field goal percentage that could be the difference maker.
Ozanink Mayo called for the offensive foul for Xavier. We've seen illegal screens called on both teams much of this game. Butler dealing with the foul trouble more, and again, dealing with the absence of Sydney Janes, as Canerva is going to be called for her second foul. Butler's starting post player, Janes, exiting with an injury. She has emerged from the halftime locker room with her right ankle area completely taped and on a chair elevated, so pretty safe to say that her return is doubtful at this point of the proceedings, as the injury looked to be pretty significant for the Butler senior. 7 to shoot. Carter looking for help. Trying to find McGuff. Zeenstra was wide open. They couldn't find her. Wiggins, toe on the line, beats the horn. Sometimes a good shot can bail out bad offense, and now Wiggins almost had the steal.
Well, that's great hustle by Ari Wiggins, and Taylor Purvis wasting no time, immediately back down on the other end.
Deep 3, that one rattles home. And Orbalova has her second triple of the night to get Xavier back within 6. Contributors from everywhere. Xavier playing 11 players in the first half. As Zeenstra drives, that's been open for her, and she'll head to the line with a chance at a 3-point play.
Well, early in the first half, we saw Lily Zeenstra drive to the basket. Xavier was prepared and there to take the charge. Now she's come out of the locker room, adjusted on the drive, going up away from the rim, just enough to get the finish and the contact.
Yeah, Zeenstra was already on the way down when Orbalova tried to get to the spot. Misses the chance at a 3-point play. And then as Makaleski went up to grab it, she was held by Martinez Lopez.
Those are always tough fouls as a player, particularly on a free throw line box out, when it should be prime opportunity for the defense to secure it. But that one just over the head of Martinez Lopez.
Freshman from Spain departs with her third foul. Lauren Christie back in, as that is already 4 fouls whistled against Xavier here in the first 2.5 minutes of this quarter. So Butler's in the bonus the rest of the way. And that will be an offensive foul on Carter, who just picked up her third for Butler.
Well, all game long, we've seen the officials make it clear that their eyes are on the finer things of the game, especially the screen setting. Players have to stay set, keep their feet within the width of their shoulders.
Zeenstra fighting through that screen, and Mayo missed the floater. Butler lucky that Zeenstra didn't get called for a foul there, and then Wiggins was held by Purvis. And that will be free throws now for Butler. So you've got Butler, a 71% free throw shooting team that knows how to get there, aggressive-minded with the drive. AB, they've got 7 minutes and 19 seconds to just build a sidewalk to the free throw line if they want to because of the fouls mounting here for Xavier.
Butler leads the Big East in free throw attempts per game at almost 17. In the first half, Xavier did a phenomenal job of keeping Butler off of the line, only allowing 2 Bulldog free throws. But this Xavier defense right now is very aggressive, and rightfully so, keeping an eye on the fouls.
Wiggins makes 1 of 2. You almost like Ari Wiggins' chances behind the three-point line better than the free throw line, the way that she shoots it from out there. But Butler's lead back to 9. Xavier has never led in this game. They did tie it up to end the first quarter. Butler has never trailed. Purvis, speed around, beautiful leave, and Canerva has her second bucket of the night.
Well, Canerva called for a charge earlier in the game, late in that first half, but staying aggressive at the rim.
Dangerous pass. McGuff trying to get inside Purvis. McGuff hit from distance early, was very active, but then the 2 fouls really stymied her a bit. Stoddard turned to face and got fouled by Christie.
This is another tough call against the Musketeers in good defensive position, but Lily Stoddard, the 6'4" junior with that length, able to draw the foul against Lauren Christie.
Not a bad foul there by Xavier. Stoddard had attempted just 8 free throws all season prior to that one and made just 2 of them. Misses both. So an empty trip for Butler.
Lauren Christie again, the inside presence right now for Xavier on the block.
Feeling a size and maybe a strength advantage. Stoddard did a good job to stay vertical, denying the 6'3", fifth year for the Musketeers.
In Butler's big win against Marquette, it was Lily Stoddard who was put in at the end of the game to get that defensive stop and using her height.
Well, McGuff could have gone left early in that touch and didn't, and now bails out. Wiggins will use the speed. Drew 4 defenders, found Zeenstra, and Stoddard resets. Wiggins can't connect, and Butler's gone cold.
Butler had a chance for a second offensive possession. It might not have been a bad idea for Wiggins to move the basketball around.
Purvis trying to go up and under, dragged the pivot foot. 13th turnover for Xavier.
You can see the frustration with Taylor Purvis. Averages 6.2 points per game for Xavier. Plays with so much heart, passion.
Free walk up the floor.
Coach Chambers being mindful of the foul situation, not wanting the game to get too far out of hand.
Great set, but Zeenstra runs through the would-be defender and gets called for the offensive foul. It was a great set, threw the ball to a spot that Makaleski was on her way to. But as we saw a couple times in the first half, the jump stop instead of the run through, and that ruined what was going to be a wide open three-point attempt for Butler.
And kudos to the Xavier scouting personnel. Defensively, Xavier is prepared and knows the strengths of each Butler player. And when Lily Zeenstra drives, someone from Xavier is rotating over early to take that charge.
Great backdoor cut. Canerva and an even better.
This is that 2-point field goal percentage that's going to complement Xavier shooting 50% from the 3 in that first half.
A little too tall for Stoddard. Butler turns it over for the 12th time in this game, and that takes us to a timeout. Boy, Xavier is the pesky little gnat that Butler just cannot get rid of here inside of Hinkle Fieldhouse, a game that feels awfully important for both teams. The Bulldogs letting the visitors just hang around midway through the third. Balanced scoring for Butler. The Bulldogs leading by 5. 8 points from Riley Makaleski. There's her younger sister, Maya, along with the family. Maya, who is headed to Indiana next year, although she watched her sister beat Indiana earlier this year. How that's allowed to happen in the Makaleski household, I don't know. But Maya might be one of the best shooters in the entire country for her age group. And hey, Indiana still has semi-state coming up this week for her high school, not far from here, Hamilton Southeastern, northeast suburb of Indianapolis, and the whole Makaleski crowd, as they are most games here at Hinkle, in the house tonight.
It's always nice when you have an opportunity to bring your family around to enjoy the collegiate experience with you. And then, of course, sister-sister competitiveness.
Well,
nothing tops that.
They want to play together. Where's the Austin Parkinson recruiting pitch there? I'm sure he tried his absolute best. Indiana's had a heck of a run the last couple of years under Terry Moore. And down in Bloomington, as that three swatted away by Stoddard, it forces a shot clock violation, and Butler tightens up defensively out of the timeout.
Well, we've talked about Lily Stoddard and the defensive impact that her presence in the game has, again, standing at 6'4", but with the reach that extends just almost 6'6".
McGuff, just a bit too strong. Stoddard altered that rebound, and it ping-pongs to Makaleski. Boy, Purvis is an absolute menace and earns a 5-second violation against McGuff. She got shoved off a little bit, just took it in stride, clapped at McGuff, who's been visibly frustrated most of this game with how physical she's being played by Xavier defensively, and that frustration cost her there another Butler turnover.
In game one, you saw how locked in on McGuff the entire Xavier roster is, and this being the same. Xavier's not letting McGuff get any daylight, and Taylor Purvis, we talked about her energy, we've talked about her leadership. She's hungry for this win.
Naismith barely beat her own 5-second call. By the way, she had 3 field goals in the first half to set a new career high in her freshman year. Canerva driving, wild shot thrown up, and Butler, 2 really good defensive trips for the Dogs. When Makalewski just couldn't wait for the screen to come over and dribbled it right to Mayo, and then the foul is called on Stoddard. That'll be the 3rd on Butler here in the quarter. And remember how Butler was in the bonus with 7.5 minutes to play in the quarter. They have not drawn a foul in the next 4.5 minutes. So not taking advantage of getting into the bonus early in this quarter to try and use the free throw line to build a lead.
Using those free throw bonus opportunities are smart possessions.
Purvis at Norman, goes right at her body. A lot of basketball contact there, then Purvis last possessed it standing on the end line, and the ball back to Butler.
You can see the game already started scrappy, so to speak, and you can see the physicality amping up. Teams, both of them, up aggressive, going over the screens, over the handoffs, over the handbacks. Players have to fight through, and the screeners stay set.
Yeah, 23 fouls whistled in both of those as McGuff throws it away. And you look at it from just a quality of game flow standpoint. These 2 teams have combined for 28 field goals made, AB. They've combined for 30 turnovers.
The saving grace for both squads is their three-point shooting. Xavier shooting 46% from the 3.
Mayo's had a couple of them. Can't connect with her 3rd. McGuff was fouled, and yes, there's the whistle. It'll get the freshman Naismith with it. And that will be 2 free throws for McGuff on the other end.
Well, you talked about earning trips to the line, whether not from the drive, from a rebounding opportunity. Kyla McGuff in this game so far has had the early start offensively, a quick 3 followed by a 2, 5 points early in the game, and since then scoring has slowed down until these free throws.
It's their first point. First point since the first 2 offensive possessions of the game for McGuff, who picked up 2 first-quarter fouls and sat for much of that first half. But after the injury to Strandy right at the beginning of the Big East season, McGuff's averaged 14 and 8.5 in Big East play and has played really like a ball of fire the last couple of weeks, recognizing that in this her final collegiate season to leave it all out here in the month of February and into March.
You're looking at the player who leads the Big East, ranks number 36 in the country in double-doubles.
Purvis fought through the defensive Norman but couldn't muscle it in. And the way Xavier struggles to score, he's just maintaining a lead. It's a little bit easier for Butler, but it's just they have not been able to grow the lead a couple of this game. Norman, great head fake, goes right around Naismith and uses the change of pace to score.
Well, those high ball screens usually have some roll and rise, some movement, a back screen flare or something, but not with Carson Norman. You see Coach Parkinson run that ISO for her quite often when the clock's winding down.
That deflects off the body of Mayo, they say. And now the officials are going to gather and they'll correct the call. So Brandon Enterline came over and just conferred and said, did you see it deflect off the Xavier player? Said no, so they reversed the call, and Xavier maintains possession. Under a minute to go here, third quarter. Lopez, beautiful spin, and was fouled on the way up. Probably should have finished it for the and one, but we'll get 2 free throws nonetheless.
Yeah, a tough move and a strong drive for Daniela Lopez. Coach Chambers understanding the moment, opening up the court. Xavier has struggled offensively a little, so running that ISO drive to the rim right back at Butler.
Lopez just a 44% free throw shooter for a team that shoots only 64% from the line. And you talk about offensively challenged this year. It's even the freebies have been hard to come by for the Musketeers, but makes both of them at the end of this third quarter. Zeenstra, good find, Norman. She's played a really inspired few minutes off the bench here in this third quarter, but couldn't connect there.
No, inspired's a great word. We talk about the adjustments that Butler's had to make so far in this game, injuries coming into the game and then during. But for Xavier, the consistency of Mary Canerva, again, the freshman leading Xavier in scoring at 10.5 points per game with 6 points so far.
Very crafty, and then Lopez commits just a really careless foul. 40 feet from the basket in the bonus, and it will send the freshman, Lily Zeenstra, a 73% free throw shooter to the line. Xavier had whittled it down to 4. You're one defensive hold away from having the ball to begin the fourth quarter, just down by 4 points, and now Zeenstra can pad it after that foul.
Zeenstra had 3 steals in that first game.
She's the first player in double figures. Is going to get another crack at it for Butler. She tracks down her own rebound. 5 seconds to go. Norman's got to do something quickly. She's going to drive under the defense and scoop it in at the horn.
Well, what a fortuitous rebound. Second chance opportunity for Butler and Carson Norman. 4 points for the sophomore. First a drive to the basket on a high pick and roll, and then she runs that right back to close out the quarter.
A very important ending possession there at the end of the third quarter for Butler, which was holding a 4-point lead. A foul, a rebound, offensive rebound leads to a Carson Norman drive and finish, and all of a sudden AB Stocks, instead of it being a 4-point game with Xavier getting the basketball to begin the fourth quarter, a 7-point game, and the momentum in the Butler huddle while we were away during that timeout totally changed because of that drive by the sophomore to end things there in the third.
Well, during the quarter, Butler was 0 for 5 from the three-point line. So the magnitude and the importance of those 2-point shots by Lily Zeenstra and Carson Norman were right on time.
Tough grab for Christie, working against Carter. who slides in a good defensive possession. Canerva drew the defense, made a bad pass. Wiggins gave it up, wants it right back, should get it. Break, give and go the other way, and McGuff finishes off on an absolutely textbook 2-on-1 break.
That's two experienced players out there on the basketball court playing on instinct and rhythm.
And they're going to get Zeenstra for the hold, trying to stick with Mayo around the screen. That'll be the third on the freshman. Again, Butler running out of bodies. 9 really healthy bodies to start this game. They lost Sydney Janes with Lily Carmody still not playing and not ready to come back from an injury that's taken her out the last couple of games. So really 8 players remaining for Butler, and several of them now battling with 3 fouls. Zeenstra and Carter with 3 here the early stages of the fourth quarter. And through contact, forced shot up by Canerva. And we've seen a couple of shot clock violations in the second half. Butler defensively certainly made some adjustments at the half.
Butler's come out and challenged the handoff situations from Xavier, pushing their way over the screens, over the handoffs, really forcing the Xavier offense further and further outside the three-point line.
That handoff comes nearly at midcourt, and Purvis will get called for the foul. That's her third for Xavier. So Canerva and, Purvis with the 3 fouls. Canerva has 2, 3 for Lopez. The real foul trouble situation right now for Xavier.
And this is a tough call for Xavier. Taylor Purvis playing just as aggressive as the Butler defense in fighting over and through these screens and handoffs.
6 to shoot. Wiggins will give it to McGuff. Had space and has not been as hot today as she has been the last couple of weeks. Makaleski read the pass, draws the held ball, and everybody on the ground. The possession will bring it back to Butler as Xavier turns it over for a 17th time tonight.
Well, Riley Makaleski, 8 points in this game, 5 rebounds, and the hustle play to gain an extra possession for Butler. Those are the things that any coach, but particularly Coach Parkinson, loves to see from the youth.
Felt like Makaleski hit a bit of a wall midway through this Big East season. She's bounded back, had that one blocked, 2 blocks on this in for Xavier. And last off the hands of Martinez Lopez, 16 to shoot for Butler underneath. And that will bring Naismith in for Xavier, playing on a career high, 3 field goals made, 6 points for the freshman. McGuff trying to get rid of Canerva. And Wiggins will reset with 10 to shoot. And Makaleski knocked to the floor. That's on Purvis. That'll be her 4th.
And this is what makes the previous foul, Purvis's 3rd foul, such a whammy, because now her defense has to adjust. The signature for Purvis is to ignite the Xavier defense with ball pressure, getting up in the space.
And Canerva undercuts McGuff trying to go up for that, so that's her 3rd. So now you've got really your 2 most energetic defenders in Purvis and Canerva with 4 and 3 fouls respectively. And Purvis is having an earful right now from one of the officials for talking too much about what's being called out here. 3 fouls now quickly for Xavier here in the quarter. Carter waiting for the defense to clear, instead clears it herself. Zeenstra didn't know what to do with it. Purvis has help. Mayo on her left, finishes with the left hand.
Well, right back on it on this end. Purvis and Mayo down in transition, the nice give and go.
How about Xavier surviving that defensive possession with a couple of fouls and nothing given, but Zeenstra comes right back and drives. No help given to Naismith, who was on an island trying to protect.
Well, Lily Zeenstra has a quick first step and is able to beat her defender's top extended closeout foot. So the call apparently going right back the same direction.
Yeah.
Ari Wiggins trying to fight over a screen.
Well, they got Makaleski down below, I think maybe holding on during the screen or battling in the post. She's claiming that she was hooked. Either way, this has been a very physical, really hard game to officiate, AB, because both teams have played with a lot of physicality, and you could call a foul every time down. So what constitutes a foul and what doesn't is Mayo connects for 5 straight and keeps Xavier in it.
Well, 11 points now. The first Musketeer in double figures is Ajanique Mayo. Third made three-pointer.
And Kanerva poked it away, tiptoes down the line. McGuff tries to go in after her, at least disrupted what would have been a layup. But Xavier can reset, try to get this thing with the 3 down to 1 possession. Kanerva, the kick out. Raj wouldn't go up with it, and it's another turnover. They had a couple of looks, AB, and no one wanted to pull the trigger.
Well, what's a great defensive possession by McGuff. First deterring the transition basket by Kanerva, and then coming up with this deflection and the steal to retain possession for Butler.
And then after not electing to shoot and turning it over, Julia Garcia-Raj commits the foul, reaching in on McGuff. So the next foul on Xavier puts Butler at the line.
Remember, it was early in that third quarter
And here come the free throws.
that the Xavier fouls put Butler in the double bonus. With 7 minutes to go in that third quarter, Butler did not take advantage of it.
And Rogers is going to take a quick seat on the Xavier bench. I mean, just kind of ill-advised, over-aggressive fouls defensively puts a really good free throw shooter in Kylan McGuff, 77% on the line. Well, you had a possession, your Xavier, you could get it down to 4, maybe 3 points. Instead of turnover, a couple of fouls, and Butler can breathe a little bit easier, back up 8.
Overall, when you look at the season and the body of work that Coach Chambers has.
That one partially blocked. Wiggins gets a hand on it after taking 2 arms to the back with no call, and Butler will try and run clock and run offense.
When you look at the body of work of Coach Chambers, you can see the pieces, the building blocks in the way Xavier's playing defense and executing offensively.
McGuff, no. Carter had it poked away, and it fell into the hands of Borilova. Mayo ran into the wall that is Kristen Carter, and she ends up with it. And both teams a little exhausted now. Next whistle will take us to a timeout.
Solid defense by Kristen Carter to stand her ground and stay elevated.
Makaleski, soft pass, not to where McGuff wanted it, and then she throws it away. Mayo. Right into Carter. Oh, and they're going to get her for the block, and that will send Ajanique Mayo to the free throw line for 2, trying to claw into this 8-point lead. 4th foul on Carter, and both teams needing a blow finally get one here just past the midway point of the 4th quarter. physical game in this, the 56th meeting between Xavier and Butler. There you see the foul trouble for the Musketeers. Their biggest defensive weapon in Purvis with 4. That'll limit what she tries to do, and their top scorer, Kanerva, playing with 3. On the Butler side, down to just 8 players due to injury right before the timeout. Kristen Carter picked up her 4th, Zeenstra with 3 as well for the Bulldogs. It'll be Xavier free throws out of the timeout with AB Stocksum. We'll ask it. And AB, what does Xavier need to do in this final 4:33 to try and climb this mountain, find some offense, and shock Butler for the second time this year?
Well, first of all, limit the fouls. Stay on the court, keep your players on the court and in the game, but more importantly, keep Butler off of the free throw line. As far as offense goes, Xavier has to find ways to get to the rim, generate offense, generate free throw attempts themselves, and get back to their aggressive shooting. They shot 50%, the Musketeers, in that first half. So go back, all out, highly confident in the 3.
Xavier not a good free throw shooting team. Mayo, another one that struggles, gets 1 of 2 there. Now they'll pick up the pressure. They'll go 1-2-2, and it forces the turnover. Purvis comes away with it. Butler didn't know what to do with it. And now the lead could be cut to 5 or 4.
That smart strategy to come out with that 3/4 court press.
Kanerva driving at Wiggins, draws the contact, and that will lead to 2 free throws. So that little switch up in pressure, and Butler has really struggled this year in late game situations. Their 4-11 record in the Big East, as much a product of their inability to close out games in the final 5 minutes as anything else. Have done a better job of late, including a really big home win over Marquette a couple of weeks ago. But anybody inside Hinkle Fieldhouse has watched this team play this year, certainly aware of the fact that it is not over until the clock hits 0. Again, a 1-for-2 trip at the line, and there's a foul, and Zeenstra will head to the free throw line as Borolova was a bit over-aggressive.
Well, you mentioned closing out games, and a lot of that comes with experience. For Butler, Wiggins and McGuff being the 2 experienced seniors on the court. Stoddard and Makaleski, sophomores, Zeenstra, freshmen, a lot of youth to close out this tough game.
And again, Butler the better free throw shooting team by a wide margin between these 2 teams. Zeenstra a smooth 2 there, and now Butler will even pick up a little, at minimum, token full court. Try and slow down Xavier.
You like watching the coaching strategies of both Coach Austin Parkinson and then Coach Billy Chambers for Xavier, how they're making the in-game adjustments, how they've both adjusted and gone to their second and third attacks to wear out the process of this game.
Mackenzie Givens, who started the game, had it poked away. Played just 2 minutes in this game, and now back on the floor for Xavier here in a late game situation, and she will get 2 free throws as both teams now play in the bonus.
We talk about the youth on the court and the youth in the Big East, what's exciting for years to come. Mackenzie Givens, another freshman for this young Xavier squad, standing at 6 foot.
And she will pick up full court after making 2. Yeah, both teams with a lot of reliance on freshmen and sophomores. There's a poke away, and McGuff was in the right place, right time. Zeenstra beats the pressure. Makaleski will drive through the defense. Forced it up, no foul call, and that was Purvis defending. It could have fouled her out of the game. We play on in a 6-point game. Purvis now facing. Good quick find, and the baseline jumper down for Martinez Lopez. It's a 4-point game.
The other freshman for Xavier, Martinez Lopez, her first made field goal of the game.
Xavier has not won a road game since November of 2022. And they're within 4 points here at Butler as Austin Parkinson sees no offensive cohesion, calls timeout. It will go full, and will step aside with them as well. Butler has seen this script before, wants to avoid it in the final 2:53 of this one. The Dogs clinging to a 4-point lead as Xavier hanging tight. Two games remaining after tonight for both of these teams. You see where they are in the Big East standings. For Butler right now, tied for 9th. They'd be in the 8-9 game against Georgetown if the postseason were to start today. The winner of that one gets likely top-seeded UConn. So if you're Butler, you'd love to win tonight. Play hard against UConn on Saturday. You got Villanova on the road to finish up next week for the Bulldogs to try and maybe slide into that 7-10 game. As Makaleski out of the timeout, works in the post, spins out, and Mayo has the rebound. Xavier can cut it to a single possession. Elbow jumper is short. Boy, Butler dodges a bullet there.
Mayo off of the screen had the opportunity to drive the ball to the basket right down the lane line, but opted for the jumper.
Zeenstra loses everybody, then Mayo read the pass. She's in a sprint the other way against Zeenstra. Right underneath her and gets the roll. It's a 2-point game.
Well, Mayo again avoiding the contact, finds a way to sneak that ball right over the front of the rim. Ajanique Mayo leading all scorers with 14 points.
Butler needs a bucket. They've been relying on free throws really to get it done. Butler has not made a basket in 5 minutes. McGuff, head fake, couldn't draw the defense. Makaleski, free throw line missing, but McGuff with the reset, wants to go right back at it, and a quick timeout called by Butler. Austin Parkinson wanted a reset to burn some clock, and McGuff was dangerously close to a 3-second call, and the timeout probably keeps possession there for Butler.
Well, I think McGuff's instincts would have had her naturally take up that rebound for the bucket, but she also was aware of time and score, and using the clock, getting the ball out and moving it around, didn't quite have enough teammates getting open.
Butler's gone 1 of its last 8. They've missed 4 in a row as Xavier's in the midst of a 6-0 run to make this interesting. What has happened offensively on the Butler side of the court?
Well, Butler has struggled to score, going 1 of their last 8 on field goals. What is the difference? It's the Xavier defense. Xavier is getting up, they're aggressive, they're on the ball, putting a lot of ball pressure in passing lanes, but doing it with a risk-taking mentality. You see Xavier flying through the passing lanes, being aggressive, confident in their backup line.
Final 90 seconds in a 2-point game. Norman barely beat a 5-second call, now retrieves it back out top. She had a long break in that Butler bench and is held by Purvis, who just fouled out. Boy, that is a massive whistle. Norman was struggling just to initiate offense, and Purvis just kind of a lazy hand check on the hip will send Norman to the line for 2, and the ball hawking defense of Purvis is now disqualified.
That's going to make a big difference during this last minute and 26 seconds of the game.
And of all the contact, AB, we've seen in this game today, for that to be the foul that gets Purvis out as Norman can't make the first free throw. I mean, that just really stings for Xavier now. If Norman can't make this free throw, it could end up being a foul that worked out in your favor.
Well, Canerva for Xavier getting the call from Coach Chambers.
Still a one-possession game as Mayo controls across for the Musketeers. Martinez, Carter has to protect. And a timeout called by Xavier as Billy Chambers didn't like what was developing, and she wants to draw something up in the huddle. And she will take a full timeout to diagram this last 70 seconds. And just another one of those games is giving Butler fans here in Hinkle and watching this here on the Big East Digital Network that heartburn. You've seen this script before. Butler was leading with a minute to go in Cincinnati and couldn't score in the final 59 seconds, losing that game by 1. And again, opportunities here at home over the last month against Villanova, against even a team just a couple of weeks ago in DePaul on the road, losing that game in overtime. It's the team that has just not figured out fourth quarters, and here they are in another situation in a game that they not only wanted to win, AB, but sort of expected to win on their home floor today to exact revenge. And Xavier has them not right where they want them, but in position to steal a win on the road.
Xavier is in prime position, as you say, to capture the opportunity to get this win. Down 3 with just over a minute left in this fourth quarter. Coach Chambers calling the timeout. Ajanique Mayo leading all Xavier scorers with 14, and Mary Canerva with 9. Look for the ball to be in one of those two hands, but also keep note, for Butler, Kristen Carter, the center, has 4 fouls, so she must play conservative inside defensively.
Where do they draw up? It's Canerva. Looking for Mayo, doesn't get her, drives right through the defense. Underneath, couldn't get the reverse. Ball is kicked out. Gibbons got a hand on it. It belongs to Butler. Boy, I think Xavier got exactly what they wanted, and Canerva just could not scoop it in.
Canerva was in that pickle of a position as a player where there's 2 options you have for how you're going to take that reverse layup shot, and she just didn't quite have the angle to get the shot she wanted.
Xavier does not need to foul in a one-possession game. Canerva thought about fouling for a second, poked the ball away. Now it's on the deck and got it. Gibbons has it. Other way in a foot race. She's going to win it to the rim and get it in. It's a 1-point game, and a quick timeout called by Butler to advance it as the nightmare continues inside Hinkle.
Well, after the turnover, down to the races, and Gibbons wasted no time. Great defense by Mary Canerva to force the turnover. Ball pressure there on Carson Norman, and then Kristen Carter in pursuit, but as we mentioned, she has 4 fouls. She had to play conservative and back off the play.
Gibbons with 4 points after a long break on the bench. Started, sat for most of the game, and then a couple of free throws and that fast break layup. Xavier has never led in this game. They drew even at 11 apiece at the end of the first quarter. Butler has led by as many as 12, and again, a team in the Musketeers that has lost 33 consecutive games on the road dating back to the 2022-23 season. Butler has the ball. 14 seconds between game and shot clock. Xavier needs to watch the hands. Zeenstra drew the defense. McGuff kicks it around. Makaleski couldn't trigger the three.
Makaleski had an open look, second-guessed herself.
Norman forces a wild pass. Zeenstra looking for help. Makaleski won't give it up this time. Can't connect, but McGuff has the offensive rebound, and now Xavier's going to have to foul. And racing out is Mayo to foul Norman, and that will send the sophomore, a 72% shooter, to the line.
Well, how about a series of events? The ball gets moved around the perimeter, ends up in the hands of Riley Makaleski, who takes the shot, although McGuff was open in the corner. McGuff with the offensive rebound and the wherewithal to dribble it out to let the time tick off.
First one pure from Norman. Xavier still has 2 timeouts, so they can use one in advance here on a make, and they will, in a 3-point game. A Musketeer team that has shot 44% from three-point range tonight. They've been a terrible shooting team all season, AB, but tonight and their last 3 games shooting over 40% from three. What is Billy Chambers looking to draw up here in the huddle?
Well, right now, for Xavier, Ajanique Mayo with 14 points. You got to imagine Xavier's going to continue to drive and attack the rim. They've been able to get the looks they've wanted off of the bounce. The previous possession, Mary Canerva had that nice baseline drive attack. Xavier's closeouts, Butler's closeouts have not been able to keep up. When Xavier has their mind made up, they're going to drive and attack.
Are you in the foul up 3 category? Do you like the foul up 3 strategy here?
You know, this is tough. Without the rebounding presence of Sydney James and Kristen Carterin, there are some advantages to committing the foul and limiting to Xavier to free throws.
Borolova looking backdoor. Canerva was there, but the pass was too strong and whizzes out of bounds. It was a good play design. They were going for 2 instead of 3, and it was there, AB, but the pass was off.
Well, drawn up flawlessly by Coach Chambers, but just the pass and the catch. So many times you wonder who's going to take the shot late in the game, but equally important is who is the player in charge of making that pass.
So they put it in the hands of the junior from Slovakia, a player that Billy Chambers knew and recruited to Iona before taking the Xavier job, Borolova, but just too much on that one. And now in a 3-point game, Butler will advance this to midcourt, and you got to play the foul game and hope that Butler can go cold at the free throw line.
Xavier has an opportunity here, first and foremost, before the ball even comes in, be aggressive, try to get a steal on the inbounds pass. If you can't get a steal on the inbounds pass, committing a foul prior to time ticking off of the clock.
A lot of nervous energy inside Hinkle Fieldhouse the way that this has transpired in the 4th quarter. Butler has not made a field goal in nearly 7 minutes of 4th quarter action. You've got to go back 7:04 on the game clock the last time Butler connected from the field, and they may still get away with it here in the 4th quarter against Xavier. Zeenstra to inbound. They find Norman in the corner, have to foul soon, and Zeenstra is the one that is fouled. That will send the freshman, a 73% free throw shooter, to the line, as she needs 1 to make it a 2-possession game. 4th foul on Mary Canerva. Stoddard back in for rebounding.
What a game Lily Zeenstra has had. 15 points now. 4 rebounds. Just a solid overall performance
And
for
solid,
the freshman.
And solid from the free throw line as well. Gives her team a 5-point lead in the waning seconds. And Zeenstra matches her Big East season high. And with that next free throw, surpasses it. 16 points now, her best output in Big East play so far this year. Surpassing the 15 she had a couple of weeks ago here inside Hinkle against Marquette. So again, next woman up has kind of been the mantra all season for Butler. There was really nothing else they could do but rely on their young players when they lost Strandy in this game, losing Janes. Zeenstra's turn tonight. 2 big free throws there, and Butler 7 seconds away from escaping an upset bid by Xavier.
Well, with both coaches, Coach Parkinson understood the assignment when taking the helmet, Butler, and likewise Coach Billy Chambers understood the assignment, and they're prepared for the moment to continue to elevate and lead their team through the rough patches.
They looked deep on the throw-in, wasn't there. Zeenstra fouled again, and this one all but over except for the final tally. Let's get Zeenstra maybe a season and freshman career high. 17 was the mark set back against St. Francis. So 2 free throws here to set her new high water mark. And logging some 35 minutes tonight. Makaleski nearly goes the distance in this one as well for Butler. Freshman and sophomore leading the way for the Bulldogs, who survive Xavier as Mayo makes one at the buzzer in what was a really good night for her. But the road woes continue for Xavier. Butler gets a win they needed. 5 wins now in the conference, with UConn coming in on Saturday. But that is not exactly the win that Butler needed to build confidence necessarily going the rest of the way, as the fourth quarter put a couple more gray hairs on that man's head right there.
Well, Butler had to rely on its strengths. Although the three-point shooting was there in the first half, the second half didn't quite connect. For the game, Butler only shot 25% from the three. Contrast that with Xavier, who shot exceptionally well, 47%, connecting 8 for 17 from the three-point line. But the difference maker came down to free throws. This is why Butler leads the Big East in free throws per game, and tonight dominated at the free throw line with 23 attempts to seal the win.
Lily Zeenstra, new career high, 18 points tonight for the freshman. Butler survives to go to 5-11 in Big East play, while Xavier falls to 1-15. For AB Stocks and our entire crew, I'm Will Haskett saying so long from Hinkle Fieldhouse. The postseason looms in just a couple of weeks. We appreciate you joining us tonight here on the Big East Digital Network.
Let's go,